Well, hello everybody. This is Brother Todd with your Victory Minute, and I hope you boys and girls out there are all having a good day. As I headed out from the house this morning, I woke up thinking about a word that I'm going to talk a lot about come this Sunday at our church on the 20th of October. If you can be there, be there. If you online, be sure and catch it. It's going to be a pivotal day in the life of our church. But the word that God keeps bringing into my mind is the word compelled. The word compelled. He said in the parable, he said the master told the servants to go compel them to come in. And I was thinking about how that compelling works in the life of a person, in particular in the life of a believer. How there's something that moves us. There's something that we recognize as an importance. It becomes an energy in us. It's a twofold thing. It is that both involves choice. One, the choice of God, and two, our choice, because God made us like him. And so as free moral beings, we have free will and we have choice. And as God uses us in life to co-labor together to accomplish his will, because the Bible tells us plainly that he does that and partners together with us, there's a reality that we have to be moved by God. And one of the things I'm kind of learning the older I get is to focus my time on the people that God is moving, that God is dealing with. If God's not moving somebody, really they can't be moved. They can't be won by argument. It's something that God has to give them the capacity to believe. God has to give them a willingness. God has to compel them, has to give them an unction to move towards him. There's some of you out here in the internet land, that's what God's doing with you. Out of what may be absolute darkness, God's given a light, God's given a drawing. You can feel him compelling you towards himself. He said, come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden. And you, to just use the word, you feel it. I mean, you know it's there. It's a reality. People around you may not get it. The scoffer may laugh at it. But those of you that are being moved, same thing happens in the life of a believer. There is in the life of the professing church a remnant that is sensitive to God, that wants to follow God, and they are moved by God. They've got that unction. That unction, that's a funny word. What is unction? I mean, what does it even really mean? Reminds me of the old preacher joke where a young preacher gets out and he goes to seminary and he learns a bunch of big words and all of that kind of stuff. And it was like one old Methodist guy told me one time. He said we take our preachers and we send them to the cemetery and they come out as dead men. Seminary. But he gets out of the seminary and he goes and he preaches a sermon in the little old country church. There's an old deacon in there, and as it was back then, everybody file out and go by the preacher and shake his hand afterwards. And old deacon walks up to him, shakes his hand, and he said, Pastor, he said, do you know what unction is? And the young brother went through his mind all the big words he'd learned and all this. He said, not really. I don't know what it is. And old deacon said, I don't know what it is either, but you ain't got it. It's undefinable, but it's there. And one of the things us at Victory is really trying to do, and I'm really, as I use the word me because it's something God's pushed me to, is to look for, to help identify and to equip and encourage those that are willing to be moved. I've spent so much of my life trying to corral goats, and God calls sheep, and it can be a frustrating thing. I look back, I'm a long-winded preacher. Long-winded means I talk a long time. If you don't come from church, that's kind of a churchism. It means when I preach, I preach long sermons. And I have spent so much of the breath of my life trying to get people that say they know God to want to follow God. And I've come to the conclusion, I think the greatest majority of them don't know God. They don't know nothing of the compelling of God or the movement of God. They, for whatever reason and however, they got in the church or it eases their conscience or whatever, but they really don't want to be moved by God. And then there's just the fact that so many that start off wanting to follow the Lord get distracted. The cares of this world, the entertainments of this world, we lose our eternal focus and we get it onto the temporary. So if you're in that boat, maybe you're part of Victory. Maybe you're out there in the church somewhere. So take this as a word where however it hits you. If you would ever call yourself part of Victory Church in Scurry, Texas, then get there Sunday. God's given us an opportunity to be compelled and to be compelling and to compel people to come in. Jesus came into this world. He said, I came to seek and to save that which was lost. And there's never been a time like now, and we're in these last days, and the best day we got is today, and we are in the kingdom for such a time as this. So if God's moving you, whether you're a believer or you're not yet, respond to that leading. God's not pushing you to take you to bad places. And the second reality, the second choice is that it's not just God compelling us, but us willing to be compelled, us willing to prioritize, to sacrifice, to give time, talent, treasure, those 3 T's we talk about so much, to be willing to work, to be willing to watch, to be willing to be a witness, right? All of those realities are things that God pulls us towards, moves us in, right? But at the same time, God uses a clean vessel and God uses a willing vessel. God gave us choice, and you don't have to be a part of it. You don't have to be a part of the work of the kingdom. Now, the kingdom's going to be established, and Christ is going to do his will. The question is not whether or not God's will is going to be done, it's whether or not you're going to be a part of it. I tell people all the time, you need the church more than the church needs you. Church is going to be here. Church is going to be here till Jesus gets back. Don't you even worry about it. It'll be here. It'll be full of people that are being compelled by God and are willing to be compelled by God and are willing to co-labor together and are willing to give of themselves for eternal things. Whether me or you do or not that's the question for us personally. But believe me, it's been happening and it's going to happen. But to those of you that you feel this stirring to be a part, okay, I want to encourage you to really look at how you're serving the Lord, whether you're part of Victory or wherever you're at. I know I keep saying that because these things go out to all kinds of believers all over the place. But wherever you are, to be willing to find your place, to let God show you how he shaped you, how he's gifted you, right? What he's made you like, so that the effort of your life, the work of your life is part of something that's eternal and part of something that's purposeful. I just heard one of the cows. I got a bunch of heifers out here, and if they hear my voice, they might think I'm gonna feed them, so you might see them here in a minute. But back on point, old preacher, a guy named Brother Don McFarland, pastored up in Dallas primarily for most of his ministry. He's been in heaven now many years. But old Brother Don, he had a way of putting things, and he was talking one day, I was sitting in a service where he was talking to church people, and he was trying to encourage them to be a part of the work, much like I'm doing with you right now. And he said, you know, the church, church work, he said it's like trying to get a wagon up a hill, right? Old-timey wagon, right? Didn't have no engine, no horses on it or nothing. He said, you know, it's okay if you want to pull the wagon. He said, if you want to pull the wagon, you tie your rope to it and you get to pull it. He said, it's okay for you if you want to push the wagon. You know, God made you a pusher instead of a puller, then you get your hands on the back of that wagon and you get to push it. He said, now some of y'all, you want to ride on the wagon. And he said, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. He said, always going to have riders. Always going to have riders. And he said, and that's fine. He said, but if you're going to just ride, please don't drag your feet. And so many times that's what we do in our Christian service. We sit around and ride. We gripe about how fast the wagon's going up the hill, bereft of understanding. We ought to get out and help somebody get it up the hill. You know, some of y'all, bless your heart, y'all gripe and complain about everything your church does, whether it's Victory or wherever it is. You gripe about the staff, you gripe about the choir, you gripe about the singers, you gripe about the prayer people, you gripe about how the invitation's given, how the preaching's done, how the singing's done. how the lights are done, the temperature in the building. You gripe and complain, piss and moan about everything that goes on in that church. For the life of me, I don't even know why you show back up. You're not happy with nothing. I mean, what they say around here, used to say, complain if they hang him with a new rope. And that's you. Now, the reality is, maybe you're just lost and God's never talked to you. Maybe you've just forgotten what it is. I'm gonna say it's probably you're not compelled. Bless your little heart. You're just not compelled. I don't know if God's saying a thing to you. And you're just trying to do it in soul power or whatever. And if that's the case, I'm gonna tell you something. Hit your knees and call out to God and ask God to give you a word, give you a movement, give you a compelling, give you an unction. And if he stirs you at all towards him, or he stirs you at all to do something with him, then get to doing it, baby, with all your heart. The greatest thing on this planet is happening is the work of God in the people of God on this planet. And get after it. Get after it. There's never been such a time as this. And we need Christians, a remnant that's going to rise up and meet the challenge of the day. All right? I hope you be a part. Again, if you catch this before the 20th of October, be at church on Sunday. Catch us online. If it's after October the 20th when you hear this, go back, go to victorychurch.ch and go through it's archived, I guess the word they use. You can go to YouTube and find it easy. Now that's what I do. I go to YouTube and then go to videos. You can scan through, find it. It'll be October the 20th. I can't tell you the scripture I'm gonna preach on because I'm thinking about 3 different ones right now. But if you can, for real, be a part. Like I say, there's nothing like the work of God. Old Jamie Starks, old preacher, you say, Dr. Starks, you say, had 1 million lives to live. I'd serve the same Lord. I'd marry the same woman. I'd pastor the same church. There's nothing like being in the time you're in. Use it, embrace it, grab it, do something with it. At the end of the day, make certain that your life has mattered on this little rock we call Earth. You have a good day. I pray God will bless and keep you. Bye-bye.